Cool. So in this episode, we'll be talking about the take profit, the break even, and the stop loss. And this is very important since we've learned how to in the previous episode on how to take trades, enter trades, the types of trade execution. Now we want to look at the take profits, break even, and stop loss for trades. Right. So these are the possible entries and exits. These are the possible exits or targets for any given trade. Right, so we want to have this at the back of our mind. These are one of the possible outcomes. These are the possible outcome for any trade. This should be the outcome, right? So let's dive into it. Take profits. Yeah, this is the set exit point for any trade in profits, right, based on the analysis and strategy. So when you exit a trade in profits based on your strategy, you are said to have taken profit. You're said to have hit your TP, said to have hit your take profit, right? So your take profits, this is the exit point for any trade in profit. This is very important to know, right? And something to note, you can see the illustration which shows that entry, right? So when you have a buy entry or you enter a buy trade, you always want to set your target. It's a must for your target to be above your entry for a buy, right? So you always want to have this at the back of your mind. So your target or take profit is always above your buy entry, right? So, and for your sell entry, you can see the illustration. The target is always below your sell entry. So this is something to take note, right? Because it's very important. So break even, when you BE, what does it mean? We want to break even on a trade. This means that you close the trade on the same price which you entered. Right, when you close a trade on the same price you entered, it means you break even. This also means that there's no profit and also there was no loss made at the same time, right? So you didn't make profit and you didn't sustain a loss, right? So on that trade you had a $0 realization, and you always want to take note, right? So the next one is the stop loss, right? The stop loss is a safety net for your account, and also this is decided by analysis based on the strategy you're using. So you always want to decide where your stop loss is with alliance with your strategy, the strategy you're using, right? So you don't just decide this is where I want my stop loss to be, but it has to be decided by the strategy you're using. And later on in this course you get to know what the strategy is and how you can be able to apply to also get your stop loss, and your take profit, right? Stop loss is a safety net for your account. It protects your account from total loss, right? So you also want to know that an SL is just as important as take profit. You also want to set your take profit and your stop loss, very important, right? And for break even, we'll also get to know how to use this very well to our advantage later on in this course, right? So these are some of the key things to know, right? Things to note about stop losses and take profits, right? The stop loss for a buy trade is always below entry. I take note. Stop loss for a sell trade is always above the N3. Target for a sell trade is always below entry. The target for a buy trade is always above entry. Now both your target and your stop loss price levels are determined by the strategy you're using. So based on your strategy, you'll be able to know where to set your take profits. You're also able to know where to set your stop loss, right? So as we wrap it up, I always say this: precision is key, and you always want to repeat what you've learned to be mastered, right? So when you learn you practice, you learn again, you practice. And anything you don't understand, you always want to refer back to the particular episode or module where that stuff was talked about. Right? So you also want to know that repetition is the mother of learning. Right? Precision is key. You want to master something, to be precise at it. Right? So that's it for this episode. Until in the next one.